weighing your options about C corporations and LLCs are things that we talk about, and that's one of the encouraging things that you should do about coming here. But then the other encouraging things is Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays when we talk to you guys about how to improve yourselves in your personal lives, uh, which networking, social interactions, dating discussions, and other such things that aid you with improving your personal life. Now, like I told you at the top of the hour, today we're going to be talking about some remote careers. So if you were thinking about changing jobs, while this could have been a Tuesday night show, I thought that this would have been a fantastic show for Friday because tomorrow I gave Mike my word. I was like, Mike, we're gonna go ahead and cover those statistics about men wanting to be dads because we have somewhat of a small debate. And then when I make it make sense, he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But we have somewhat of a small debate lingering. Um, when we're talking about relationships, especially when we're talking about why uh, older men are seeking younger women. It's not because men are pedophiles or are creepy or anything like that, but the largest majority of men actually have the desire to be fathers, and those men cannot be fathers with women that cannot create children unless you're going to adopt. Now, it does play to the rule that anybody who's modernized and is willing to utilize in vitro and surrogates and stuff to that effect, that if the women were to proactively take their ovaries and put them on ice when they're in their 20s and pay for that until they're in their 40s, which is a very expensive investment, then in their 40s they find the right person, then they can take their eggs and put it with his sperm and then find a 20-year-old surrogate that can give birth to the child, and then they would be able to have that child. Then those women that are in their 40s and 50s that are now more wiser and more capable of being responsible can still be the mothers that they are instinctively capable of being without having to sacrifice their career path. But very few women in the current modern era actually goes down that path of taking their ovaries and putting them on ice in their 18 to 25-year span and then keeping them frozen for 20 years and then bringing them out of ice, out of extinction just about, and uh, uh, putting them to work so that they can have delayed children, because it's not just the fact that the women can't produce the children at older ages. It's that the scientific proof is that in a lot of situations, those females would have complicated health situations when they get older. So it is better to have the children at a younger age and then navigate the career path instead of having children at later ages, because the older you get, the more complicated your births are and your pregnancy terms are. So we were going to be talking about all of that stuff tomorrow. Michael says older men seek women on average 15 years younger than them. So when old, someone take care of them. That's not true either. Men, typically the pattern is 50% of your age plus seven, which is not necessarily 15 years younger. Um, uh, Preferably, men and women alike would biologically think that at the age of 15 or 16 years old, I could have been your father, and they try not to get children so young that they could be their own child, or that the girl that they're dating is younger than their oldest child kind of situation. Some people try to avoid that. However, 50% of your age plus seven would imply that if you're 40, she's 27. If you're 60, she's 37. That's a 20 something year gap. You know, if you're 50, she's 32. That's way over 15 years. So it's not necessarily 15 years younger. Um, Women on average try not to date men that are more than 2 to 5 years older than them, but some of them are okay with 15 years older than them on average. But there is a significant quantity of women that are willing to date a man that is more than 18 years older than her. There are girls that are 18 that are dating men that are 60 years older, where they're 78. There are 22-year-olds that are dating 60-year-old men, and there are 25-year-olds that are dating 55-year-old men. So there isn't a scenario there where uh, it's on average um, the ideology that they're getting a younger person to take care of them. That's not the, you might want that. But the truth is that the most men are getting a woman that is younger because she's more cooperative and she's able to reproduce. Those are the two factors that men look for when they're getting a wife, is they're looking for a partner, and a partner is cooperative, not combative. A woman that is combative, while she believes that she is standing on her autonomy and she believes that she is being assertive about her equal rights or whatever from a feminist model, the fact is that she's not being cooperative with her partner, and because she's not being cooperative with her partner, she is not a good partner. And typically, women over the age of 30 are going to be less cooperative because women over the age of 30 stand on their own expectations, their non negotiable expectations. Men have to pass background checks, credit card checks, all this other stuff in order for to even have a shot at this one. Like these women have like top tier expectations for men. All the men ask, even at 35 years old, is that the women are cooperative. And even in that scenario, it doesn't happen. So the men have to fold on all of their expectations because women believe that a man should accept her for who she is when he finds her, like a crashed car, treat it like a Porsche. You know, you take Paul Walker's car, treat it like a Rolls Royce. It was burned to the ground. It is not salvageable, but we're gonna treat it like a Rolls Royce. That's how women behave, and it makes no sense to me because if uniformly speaking, that a woman wants a man to accept her as she is, C-section, 8 kids, five failed marriages, then she's supposed to accept her man as he is. Felonies, bankruptcy, recovering from two child support cases, and you know nobody's perfect. So it's not a scenario where high expectations on one end and then exemption from high responsibility on that same end is fair to everybody across the board. If she's going to have high expectations for the man to meet, he should have high expectations for her to meet, and that that's not that's not cool that they don't do that. There's no responsibility. So we're going to be talking about the fatherhood tomorrow, but men don't really get women to. Some men will accept a woman for companionship, but not to take care of them, not to take care of them. The women might take on a caretaker role because I mean the dude is old enough where if she lingers for 5 years, then she can get his inheritance because she was the wife at the time when he passed. But that's not, men don't look for a woman to be a caretaker. Some men do. Some men really do. Some men wish that they had a woman in their life right now and like they would do anything to get her, and they will straighten their life up for this woman if she shows up. And I strongly encourage those men, if you ain't got your shit together, that woman is not gonna want you. As soon as she finds out your common patterns of behavior, she's gonna walk right the fuck out of your life because women do not like chaos. Women do not like disorganization, and women in the current 2025 era is not willing to build a man up. She's not willing to take a man with potential and build him up to be successful. If he is not successful when she finds him, it's like finding a brand new Rolls Royce with a flat tire. She will walk away because it's got a flat. She's not going to try to fix it. So if you're broken as a man, if you have a void in your life as a man, if you are incomplete in any way as a man, you are not worthy of the modern 2025 women. You just got to understand that. And he said, my dad is 93 and my stepmother is 15 years younger. She's 78 and I'm 71. Okay. That does not prove anything because we didn't just do one show about this, we did three, and one show specifically went over 20 years of data. And that was the show that we pointed out that China had raised their legal limit from 13 to 16 for consensual marriage. Yeah, yeah, we dug deep. We didn't just cover the United States, we covered around the world. We was giving you statistics from everywhere, and still in all, the expectation is still the same. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about how men uh, uh, actually look forward to being fathers, and that's one of the reasons why women are having problems in their relationships because the mentality of women in modern 2025 is that they're career driven, which is perfectly fine. They're not family oriented, which is perfectly fine. But those career driven women that are not family oriented are dating men that are family oriented men, and the conflict of interest is that he agrees with her because that's what she wants, is to not have children. And because he's got a consistent sex partner, he's just not going to talk about it. But his desire to be a father is always there. It's just that she doesn't want children. And when a woman makes a decision and a man folds on his position just to stop the argument, the woman believes that they are now in an agreement. You just dominated him and pushed him out of his opinion. So the fact is that while he doesn't agree, he's just not going to argue with you. So you don't want children. Women that have male best friends and they swear up and down that they both agree that the friendship is awesome and they don't want to progress it any further. You don't want to progress it any further. And he's just, that's the closest that he can get to you. And he's accepting that for what it is because he doesn't have a say. But the truth of the matter is that no, men do not agree with women when women make decisions that compromises the man's expectations in life. The men accept the fact that this is the best that he's going to get with the woman that he has, but he's not satisfied with that. And that is partially a reason why men start cheating on their women, because what they're missing in their relationship is what she refuses to give him. And then he finds that with the woman outside of his relationship. And that's where the affairs start. Y'all gonna be, I don't know. Now, people gonna like what I gotta say on that when we start talking tomorrow. But I just felt like I should give y'all some cliff notes about what's gonna happen tomorrow before we get into what's happening today. Michael says, like a used car, turn it on. Now, like a used car, you got to put some jumper cables on it. You got to hit the accelerator quite a few times to prime it a little bit. Then you got to turn it a little. You spending 45 minutes trying to get it turned on, and it ain't gonna run that long. It's only gonna give you about 10 minutes, and then after that, it's gonna shut off, and then you're gonna need to get a jump box back on it again, and you know, you got to plug it up to the house in order to keep it charged up, so that when you do come outside, it takes less time to get it on. Nah, most men don't want kids. Stats show a decline in birth rates. Biggest lie ever. I love this. I love this. See, now, normally, Michael will bring you some facts, but today, just to be contradictory, he is going to come and try to put up a false statement. Most men, actually, more than 63% of men, actually want children. And then the young men, 57%, between 20 and 30. So that is the falseness of what people say, that most men don't want kids. Most old men that are in their late 70s, early 80s probably didn't want children back in the 60s and 50s, but no, all of the children between the 70s and the 90s that grew up without dads want to be the best dad that they could be to make up for not having the dad that they should have had when they were growing up. So that is the furthest thing from the truth. Yep, I'm right. Yeah, you know I'm right. You know I'm right. Is it, or is it most women don't want kids? Most women are career driven. So because most women are career driven, the kids interfere with their ability to get to the highest levels of their career. Specifically because in a lot of relationships, the woman is left at the house with the children, not the man. So there are a growing number of relationships where women are being breadwinners in the household and men are being stay-at-home dads. And when the children are raised by the men, the children themselves develop better. So probably should have more stay-at-home dads, because men come from logic and reason, not manipulation and guilt, which has been proven from scientific studies as well. That's a whole nother topic. Who's the better parent? We've covered that story a couple times over the past 2 years. Birth rate in America has significantly fallen. Yeah, according to Google. Yes, birth rates have fallen, and birth rates fall specifically because the women control whether or not the children are born, which is one of the reasons why Donald Trump outlawed abortion. Women will get abortion not because it is in their best interest to get the abortion, not because it's a health risk. They get the abortion because they don't want the responsibility. Some get the abortion because they are getting back at the father of the child who consented in the interaction of creating the child. And the argument has always been is that if there's two halves of DNA involved in here. Some belongs to the father, some belongs to the mother. The child itself is a living entity, Soon as it has a heartbeat, and from that point, you now have three consenting, well, not consenting, but three existing lives involved in the same scenario, but only one person decides whether it lives or dies. Now, I agree that no man should force a woman to get an abortion, but I also believe that, uniformly speaking, no woman should force an abortion upon a man who wants his child. So if he wants it, she should get a C section or just give a natural birth and pass the child on to the father and don't have the responsibility. But killing off the child because you don't want to mess up your girl's figure after hoeing around in the neighborhood, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. If you accidentally get yourself pregnant and the man that you got pregnant for wants a kid, give him the kid. You can continue running the streets, but don't get an abortion because you don't want the responsibility because it's not necessarily your responsibility to take care of the kid. You can sign away your parental rights and give the child off to the father, as long as you know who the father is. But the birth rates fall because the men don't have a say in their own DNA. Special shout out to Dylan. Dylan came closer to the on time hour. Is this stream just for me? I was talking about this yesterday. It could be. I don't know. He said that is pretty sick to get back at the father. Wow, yeah, that it does happen. It does happen. It happens a lot. You have men and women can act on emotions, but women act on emotions more than men do. And this isn't my personal opinion. This is statistical fact. And the fact is that when you want to hurt somebody the way you're hurting, you will perform drastic actions that you know will devastate them, like the woman that ate that man's dog. The fact is that the pain that you're feeling inside, you know what to do to make that other person feel that pain. That's why y'all remember that song about the woman that was tearing up that man's truck because he cheated on her. The pain that she felt from finding out that he had an affair on her is the pain that he felt when she destroyed his vehicle because his vehicle was his prized possession, the thing that he valued the most in life. Her relationship might have been valued to the same magnitude, and since he desecrated the relationship that she put on such a high pedestal, she desecrated the vehicle that he puts on a high pedestal. It's revenge, and that level of revenge is not healthy. But sometimes collateral damage is aborting a child that doesn't have a chance. I had this conversation with Mr. Pibbs with the values of life. We almost slipped into this conversation yesterday when the religious guy jumped on. And the discussion was like a side standard because we're going to get on today's show about uh remote careers, but real quick before we go there, the the discussion was with Mr. Pibbs that if those people who claim to be, following the path of Jesus Christ believe that murder is sin, where do you draw the line? Because thou shall not kill means don't kill nothing with a pulse, don't kill nothing that lives, that moves, that breathes. But then when you start subjectively saying, oh, well, I can kill, but I can only kill when it is necessary for my survival. And that means that now you're killing for substance. And if you're killing for substance, then that means that not only can you eat cows, you can eat babies. People are going to say that's not okay. But you're uniformly speaking, if you're killing for substance, you can be like Hannibal Lecter, But again, society's going to frown upon that. But let's be socially unacceptable and say, well, we can't kill for substance subjectively because certain things that are being eaten are not supposed to be eaten. Then we start coming into an arbitrary scenario of what we can and cannot kill. We can kill in self-defense, but we're not supposed to kill for the sake of sport. But we can kill for the sake of sport as long as what we're killing doesn't have a dialogue. So again, subjective. And when we start talking about that, we start talking about the bringing it back to that abortion topic, the dynamic of, well, life threatening pregnancy means you can't carry it to term because you'll die and the baby will die too. In those scenarios, abortion would be considered quote unquote acceptable. Throwing in those individuals that end up being the victim of assault and those individuals that don't want to carry that to term because they don't want to live with the memory of the assault and the way they might mistreat the child because of their own personal scars might be a reason for a personally in my opinion an adoption. But if they're going to say that that's a reason for abortion, that's probably the line right there. outside of dramatic verified health issue and uh the the victim, the results of being a victim of a crime. That's like the only two reasons that makes it make sense. But then everything else out of that, I'm not ready. Nobody is. You There's never a right time. He's not the right one. You weren't the right one. It wasn't the right time. uh, um, all of the other excuses. Oh, he cheated on me. Doesn't change the fact he's still the father. He's still got a responsibility. When they stop using the children as a source of salary, everybody starts running out to getting an abortion, taking Plan B pills after having unprotected sex instead of just not having sex at all, and which men would prefer a more pure woman. So the women are trying to outdo the men with a 2,000 body count, and out of that 2,000 body count, they've had like 5 abortions in their life, but they still got the girlish figure because they never carried the child to term. It's ridiculous. So that's one of the reasons why the birth rate is falling, and it's not just falling in America; it's falling in Asia too. That's one of the reasons why Asia has such a high program incentivizing the creation of birth. Where for those people, we talked about it when it started trending on social media. For those people who wanted to go to a different country and have children that honestly, based on the cost of living over there and the amount of money they're willing to pay for the children, you could potentially have free children over there. Where in America, you only get free children if you're poor. You go to Asia and the child is a native, and at least the mother is a native, if not the father is a native, then the child gets financial care up until they're 18. And if you're sticking to generic, it's 100% healthcare. But if you're dealing with luxuries and name brands, it's 50% healthcare. So if your standard living for 2 adults in Asia is like 12,000 a year, 2 adults and 3 children is 12,000 a year. 2 adults and 3 children in America is 125,000 a year. That's incentive. Dylan says, so glad. So the gold bars I have are smaller than a Snickers bar. They are 1 ounce, but I couldn't swallow them. They are sealed up in packaging. Okay, so you do not officially have a bar. You might have a like the bloom. I don't know the appropriate word for it because you've got like a thin strip of gold that's like rectangularly shaped, and they probably have it in a plastic packaging scenario to preserve it as memorabilia. It's not pure gold. They're going to have a little bit of like nickel and other stuff in there, but for the most part, it is an ounce of gold, in addition to all of the other impurities. But nah, you're not going to be able to swallow that. Now, when we were talking about gold bars, a bar is the size of a brick, and it is heavy. It is heavy. It is not, you can't shove a brick in your mouth. It's not the size of a cinder block. It is the size of an actual red brick. So if you've ever walked past a red brick house, if you've ever walked past a red brick wall, it is the size of a red brick. That is a gold bar. And those bad bars are a couple pounds heavy. So it's gonna take 2 hands to pick it up off the ground, and no, you're not gonna be able to stick one corner of it down your throat. uh, who wants to leg for dinner? Oh yeah, he catching up with the thing. Imagine if Deer said, "Please don't shoot. I got a family." Like Bambi. Oh, but these hunters out here, they bait trapping. They feeding the bears in a specific location on the same in the same spot every day, so that when the bears come looking for food, they can knock the bear off with less effort. So most people are mistakes. Yes, I'll let you marinate on that for a second. Probably, I would have to get the official statistic on that if they even have it, but at least more than half I can account for is unplanned. And the statistic is not going to identify them as mistakes. They're going to be identified as unplanned pregnancies, unplanned births. And anything unplanned was accidental. And anything accidental is a mistake. So, the largest majority of the population, some of the most successful people on the planet, some of the most successful people in the United States, were all born by accident. The parents called it a gift because it wasn't expected. It was a blessing because it was given to them without their ability to be ready for that shit. The ones that try really hard to have a kid, those are the ones that are planned. They have to time it right. Conception was difficult. They spoil their children rotten because they overly love that kid because they tried really hard to create that kid. The parents that are like, take your ass outside and find something to do. Oh, you just happened. And because you're here, I'm going to make sure you don't die, but you were not planned. So, yes, most people that are alive right now are a mistake. Wow, 2,000 baby count or 2,000 body count with five terminations is crazy. Oh yeah, but you're talking about I'm gonna have to throw those statistics in with the fatherhood discussion tomorrow so that you can kind of see exactly how bad that shit is because these females is outdoing the men and I don't they fine now. These are some very attractive women, but they're outdoing the men with promiscuous behavior. But you know, while the bar is low, the expectations are high. Okay, so special shout out to Screw Kids. I love this jackass. Came up here with a good name, Screw Kids. Shut the fuck up. And he asked one question: Naruto or Dragon Ball Z? Well, that depends as it relates to whether or not Goku was a good dad. He sucked at being a dad, but Dragon Ball Z was better, in my opinion, than Naruto based on the primary story and every subsequent story that went that direction. Naruto, you could kind of get into season one, but season three, you couldn't build a universe around the story because usually the season finale they kill off all of the favorites for dramatic effect, and then they try to add new characters down the line. And the after a while, the majority of the cast is gone. The majority of the reasons why you came for the show is gone. If one or two people are still there, now you got a whole new cast. You've got a whole new group of bad guys. You got like one or two people from day one, and that is Naruto. With Dragon Ball Z, because of the Dragon Balls and reincarnations and all of this other stuff, every single character from the Dragon Ball series that made Dragon Ball what it is still in the Dragon Ball Z series, and every Dragon Ball genre thereafter, GT, GZ, all, blue, red, gold, platinum, diamond, godlike, all that other stuff. So your favorite characters are always there. So Dragon Ball Z would be likely better because the reason why you came in the beginning is the reason why you're still there in the current season. The same way when John Cena stops being a wrestler in WWE, the entire Attitude Era no longer exists. So my generation full of wrestlers are all retired. Nobody still wrestles in the WWE when John Cena retires, except for Randy Orton and potentially Edge as a guest star that is still in the WWE. Oh, wait, Brock Lesnar. So three guys that I can think about. Rey Mysterio, four guys, but they're, so four people out the entire 50 man roster that's still there from when I was growing up that is worth looking at. So, when John Cena retires, it's like I might show it to my kids, but I don't give a fuck about it anymore. I've only watched it twice this year, and that's when John Cena was on Raw. Because the Undertaker's gone, Stone Cold is gone. You know what I mean? There ain't nobody left to look at. He has Most likely gold eagle coins. Yeah, he would probably have those gold eagle coins, the Liberty coins, the Liberty, but that's the rectangle coins, the Liberty gold rectangle ones. I can keister it. Yeah, you could, but that would not feel good. I know that Steve-O was doing ridiculous stuff like that at one point in time, and he wasn't doing a good thing. Yeah, it would be nice if dads could stay at home, but honestly, so much is expected of men in society. It is hard for a dad to just be a dad and have that bonding time with their sons. If their sons or their daughters, the male expectations for masculinity forbids men to perform what is considered socially as feminine roles. Then, and women, y'all can get pissed off at this, but it's your fault because a man cannot be a babysitter without you calling him a creeper. He's grooming a child. He can't, especially if it's not his kid, he can't watch somebody else's kid because he's got to be trying to snatch the child. He's got to be trying to do something dirty to the child. Men have very good parenting skills. Men have very good paternal instincts, and women do not want to utilize those paternal instincts. But that's only because of the insecurities and fears of women, not because of the behaviors of men. Women are just as bad as men with preying on people younger than them. Women are just as bad as men at mistreating children. And the fact is that outside of the psychological and emotional abuse of women on children, the there is no difference between women and men when it comes down to child bringing, except for the men teach the children with logic and reason and negotiation, and women use guilt and manipulation. Two different styles. It could work if you blend them together a little bit, but the two different styles, the guilt trip leads to rebellion because at some point the children get tired of being manipulated and then they demand that they be respected and be informed thoroughly so that they can make an informed decision of cooperation. Whereas the children that cooperate with the fathers because the fathers made it make sense. We have a deal. You don't make this hard for me, and I try my best to get you the shit that you want after I get you the shit that you need. So yeah, in this society, it's really hard for men. And then, think about how you identify men. Society doesn't just identify men as dads, stay-at-home dads, like you identify stay-at-home moms. A man is demasculated by called being called a domesticated father. Fuck yeah, like what? Like domesticated? That's stupid. You know what I'm saying? You're saying domesticated like you tamed a savage beast or some shit. You don't identify women as domesticated housewives. You know what I'm saying? They're just wives. But let a man stay at home. He's a domesticated house husband, a domesticated father. Yeah, they have to. It's just like coining the term female executive, female athlete, female, when you have to genderfy the success. She's the best for a girl. When you do that, that sexism is stupidly drawing a line that, oh, she's not supposed to succeed this well, but she does. And when you do the same thing for a man and say, oh, well, domesticated father, dad bod, you're saying, oh, well, even though this is normal, it's not supposed to happen for you. So we're going to give you a extra emphasis on what kind of person you are because you did what you should have done, which makes absolutely no fucking sense. Who here likes a participation ribbon for fucking showing up? Because I don't. I don't. I was supposed to be here. Don't give me a ribbon for that. You give me a fucking gold medal because I succeeded, goddammit. And I outdid everybody else. You give me a I showed up medal, I failed, but you're gonna give me a piece of paper or a little plaque or a little out of here. Oh, he's that Daniel Bryan. Yeah, him and Edge. Everybody broke their back. In Scandinavia, the dads get off the first year of their life because they recognize how important it is for the families. Wonder why so many young parents break up. Well, for dads in everywhere in Asia, they get the first year off paid leave along with mom so that both people get to stay home and take care of the kids instead of the mother having all of the responsibility of raising the children and then at least one of them goes back to work on year two, or they hire a babysitter. So, you know, I don't understand why it just doesn't happen in America. And you ask, why do young parents break up? Young people break up because they don't communicate and they don't compromise. Young parents break up because they don't communicate about their parenting styles, and they don't compromise about their parenting styles. And when there's a conflict of parenting styles, what will end up happening is that one parent, doesn't matter if it's male or female, will feel devalued in front of the child, and that will lead to arguments, and then those arguments will lead to um, a breakup. They try to stay together for the sake of the child, but when they start having too many arguments that leads to too much yelling, that starts leading to throwing stuff, that starts leading to fighting, then they just separate. Oh, I just seen this other YouTube chat interesting. Well, yeah, I told you we're stream. I said all this week. One of the reasons why we were starting late is that this is in two different locations on YouTube. We have the 9 by 16 in the shorts reel, and then we have the 16 by 9 in the regular long form video section. So there's two different sets of comments. There are the comments in the shorts reel, and then there's the comments in the 16 by 9 section. And I don't know why they didn't put them together, but it's in two different places. So you stream two places. I stream in more than two places. I stream in two different areas of YouTube. I also stream on Twitter. I also stream on Twitch. And after they finish selling TikTok to the United States, I'll also be streaming on TikTok. So we do a damn good job of making sure that we get out there. I click one button and it just broadcasts everywhere. And that's one of the reasons why when you guys comment in the comment section, whether you're commenting from YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, that I put the comments that I am addressing here on the screen for those of you on the 16 by 9. For those of you on the 9 by 16, it's up here. And then you have the comment section over here for the 16 by 9. And then this comment section right here for the 9 by 16. So y'all can see the comments that are coming in when they're coming in. How you doing? And then y'all see that I address the comments as they come in from other places, so that if we end up with a cross-platform communication, whenever we cross that bridge, then everybody is interacting with one another. So as long as your comments are appropriate and hopefully structured towards the conversation that we're having, then yeah, we should have a group discussion, because that's what we're here for. I'm here to share knowledge with folks where you guys can take an idea out of my playbook and utilize it to make yourselves more successful. Very good. He says, I'm here to get rich little by little online. And that is a fantastic way to go. So, since Barker is here, Mr. Dembarker wants to get rich. Let's go ahead and get started with today's show, because we spent the hour talking about everything but today's show. We're talking about tomorrow's show today. We haven't even got started with today's show. So let's go ahead and get in there and get started, because you've probably been told that to make six figures from home, you have to be some type of tech guru, right? And I've been trying to tell y'all that that's not true. You hear that to earn a life changing salary without stepping into an office, you need to be a coding wizard, a Wall Street trader, or a high powered exec who dreams in spreadsheets. The story goes that the price of remote freedom is a soul crushing, high stress career. But what if that was a whole story that isn't quite true? What if there is a hidden economic uh, standard of bizarre careers that pay just as much, if not more, that is by far not OnlyFans or any way related to OnlyFans? Just want to point that out. Now, I'm talking about people that are earning six figures from their living rooms, not by writing code, but by modeling just their hands. People banking serious cash by professionally swiping on dating apps for others. People who get paid to legally hack into the world's biggest companies, or, and I'm serious about this, get paid simply to be a friend. Bruh, this isn't fantasies at all. This is a very real, very lucrative, and very weird world of work that most people have no idea exists. And if I would have known that I could get paid to be a friend, as sociable as I am, and as much as I hate people, I would love to get $40 an hour to talk to folks that I don't like. I would be a fucking millionaire. These jobs prove that financial freedom isn't just for the tech elites, it's for the creative, the clever, and the courageous. So, stick with me for another hour or so because today we're pulling back yet another curtain on 5 weird remote jobs that can earn you 6 figure salaries and a life you never thought was possible. Before we get to the list, you might be wondering, how is any of this real? Why would a company pay someone 100 grand for a job that sounds made up? The answer is that the working world has totally changed. The 9 to 5 cubicle life is no longer the only option. The internet, the gig economy, and remote work have created a perfect storm for niche professions to explode. So think about it from a business perspective. In the past, if a company in New York needed someone with perfectly shaped ears to model new earbuds, their talent pool was basically just the New York City area. Now that same company can hire the best ear model in the world, whether they live in Omaha or Osaka. The internet created a global marketplace for skills, and the weirder and more specific your skill, the less traditional com- competition you have. When demand is high and supply is low, what do you think happens? Salaries go through the roof. We're also living in an age of hyper specialization. Companies are realizing that cheaper is better. And when you're trying to go cheaper, it is cheaper to hire a freelancer, an individual who is the absolute best at one very specific thing, like writing a killer dating profile or finding one critical flaw in their website security, than it would be to hire a full time journalist or a general task provider. This creates pockets of opportunities for people who have cultivated unique and sometimes downright strange talents. And while these fields aren't completely free of competition, the competition is different. While thousands of MBA grads are fighting over the same management jobs, the path to becoming an AI prompt engineer or a virtual relationship ghostwriter is less defined. It's not about having the right degree, it's about having a demonstratable skill and a killer portfolio, which opens the door for talented people from all walks of life. You don't have to be born into a rich family to have good ears. So, as we explore these jobs, remember that we're looking at the forefront of a new work revolution, okay, where your unique quirks can become your greatest financial assets. The future of work isn't just remote, it's weird. And first on our list is a job that sounds like it was pulled from a rom com. But I promise you, it's very real and can be very profitable. The online dating profile ghostwriter. And before I get into that one, I just want to point out, y'all know Peter Griffin from Family Guy. There was a guy who used to dress up as Peter Griffin from Family Guy and go to those Comic Con things. Then Family Guy picked him up and sponsored him. Guy gets paid now to be the Peter Griffin character that he was acting out, which allowed him to be grossly obese and turn it into a salary. All he has to do is just sound like Peter Griffin and wear that white button down shirt and the green pants. That's it. That's it. He just goes outside dressed like Peter Griffin and just say some of Peter Griffin's phrases. That's it. And take pictures with the crowds and make a salary off of it. So, what is this ghostwriter that we're about to talk about? In short, you get paid to be a modern day uh, Cyrano de Bergerch. Bergerch. That's a weird name. Cyrano de Bergerch. Yeah, that's how it's pronounced. You're the witty, charming voice behind someone else's dating profile. Which, while I'm talking about this, brings to everybody else's attention that when you're on these dating platforms, there are certain accounts that are free accounts because they are compensated for the amount of high activity they have on the account with scrolling and swiping and getting people to engage. Some people actually get a salary from encouraging other people to engage. The photo that you're talking to might not be the person that's communicating with you. And the need to turn your first three sentences into a video call is highly important because if this person is genuine, you will be able to connect with that person visibly and then progress your communication to an in person engagement. If you are communicating with a photo, and they insist that they want to communicate with you longer and get to know you better before they verify that you are a real person. Likely it's because they're not the profile that they say they are. Because one person can operate 30 to 50 profile sites when they're being paid to do so by the company in order to drive traffic to the platform and increase usership. So while we're talking about this particular job, you've got to understand that some people, you wonder why you're on this dating platform. They talk to you for a few weeks and then the conversation goes cold because they've baited you in. You haven't paid for the membership. You're not promoting the platform. They're not promoting you anymore. That's another reason why you can get ghosted. Not because there's something wrong with you, but because the other person was transactionally communicating with you. And when they stop being compensated for it, they stop communicating with you. Now, if you're going to be one of these people that manages a profile just for the sake of managing a profile with absolutely no interest in the people that you're communicating with, your clients are usually busy professionals such as doctors, lawyers, executives who have money but lack the time or the writing chops to deal with online dating. And this isn't just writing a bio. A full service ghostwriter does it all. You interview your client to understand their personality. Then create a compelling profile that sounds just like them, only better. Many writers also manage the account, swiping on matches and handling the initial back and forth messaging. Your job is to break the ice and build enough rapport to book a first date. Once the date is set, you disappear like a ghost. Now, this is exactly why your communication is solid while you're on the platform. And then when you get to the first date, they ghost you on the first date because the person you were talking to on a computer and the person who just blind date came and met you are not the same person. The person that you formulated a bond with and the person that's sitting at the dinner table with you are not the same person. Social media is ruining dating, but you can turn a profit off of it. You might be thinking, isn't that kind of deceptive? But the best ghostwriters see themselves as a mix of copywriter and matchmaker. They aren't inventing a personality, they're amplifying the client's best qualities and translating their real life charisma into text. The downside is, though, is that you, the person, are not meeting the person you've been texting. It's like Hamlet. You're talking to the person that you're looking at after being coached by the person in the bushes. You want the person in the bushes, but you're looking at the person standing in front of you. And that first date ends up being awkward because the personality of the person that you're standing in front of is not the person you fell for. The person you fell for is still in the bushes feeding lines to the person that's standing in front of you. Yeah. Now, let's talk money. This isn't a minimum wage gig. Freelancers can charge anywhere from $80 to $300 just to write the profile, just to write the profile. If you offer full service packages with messaging, you could bill hourly. With experienced writers charging between $30 and $50 an hour. But the path to a high income lies in retainers. Top tier ghostwriters with a reputation for getting results can charge a monthly retainer of $500 to $2,000 per client. Reaching six figures here is rare and requires serious business acumen, but it's not impossible. Because really, if you've got at $500 to $2,000 per client, if you have three clients, you have between $1,500 and $6,000. And if you're managing three profiles, you're probably working 8 hours or 10 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, but you're doing it from anywhere in the world as long as you have internet service, which is one of the reasons why some of those people who are handling multiple accounts off of the same device end up sending you the wrong profile photo. Yeah, yeah. That's why when you get like 6 or 7 photos from the same account, you got to thoroughly analyze each one of those photos and treat it like a Wells Waldo picture and find the flaws in each photo and make sure it's the same exact person, same hairstyle, same colors, same clothing or similar clothing styles, same locations. You're looking at whether or not there was a mole in this photo, but there isn't a mole in that photo. There was a tattoo in this photo, but no tattoo in that photo, looking for inconsistencies, because if you see inconsistencies, the profile is fake or it's real, but the person operating it is not the person that you want to talk to. Now, it's a grind to build up a roster of 5 or 6 high paying clients, but you can see how the income could really stack up. So, how do you start it? You don't need a literature degree. You need to be a great writer who can capture different voices, a chameleon with a keyboard. You also need empathy and a solid understanding of the modern dating world. To begin, you build a portfolio by offering to help friends for free. This helps you get started. Create some sample profiles to show your range. Then start looking for work on freelance platforms like Upwork or Fiverr, or specialized agencies like eCyro and virtual dating assistant, VidDoc. The reality check here is that this work can be emotionally draining. You're dealing with people's hopes and insecurities, and the pressure is on you to get results. But for the right person, it's a fantastic way to make a living. It's very fascinating as well. Now, next up is a job that shatters the typical image of a model. Forget the runway. We're talking about the body part modeler. I got scars all over the place, so they're gonna work for me. But you don't need to have won a genetic lottery to make it in a model situation. You might just need nice hands or a well proportioned foot. This is the world of parts modeling, a niche corner of the advertising industry because everything is visual these days. Everything is visual. So if they're selling a foot cream, that's a foot model. If they're selling a lotion, that's a skin model. They're going to be whatever body parts that they're rubbing lotion on are going to be body parts that are firm and smooth. Or if they're showing it for the full figured or heavy set woman, it's going to be no saggy, no stretch mark or anything like that. The ideology of the customer's perfection image, that's what they're going to be trying to find for to model that product. And body parts, a foot, a knee, a leg, a hand, a thigh, a butt cheek, an arm, a neck, you know, if you're trying to, if you got athletic shirts, the buff guys, bikinis, you know, all you got to do is fit the outfit and they'll pay you to wear it, right? Every time you see a close up of a hand holding a new cell phone or a foot sporting a new sneaker, that's likely a professional parts model. And while you might picture glamorous photo shoots, a lot of the time, uh, this work can be done remotely. Brands will ship you products, a watch, a ring, pair of shoes, and your job is to set up a mini studio in your house and take high quality photos showcasing the product on your famous body parts. However, let's be clear, while remote work is possible, the biggest, highest paying campaigns for major brands will almost certainly require you to be on their set in a professional studio. But what about the money? Pay is project based, but can be very lucrative. Single campaign for a major brand could pay thousands, while a steady six figure salary is also rare here and reserved for a handful of elite models signed with a top agency. It is achievable for those who become the go to hands or feet for multiple major brands. The key is landing consistent, high paying work. So how do you break in? Well, first you need a marketable part for hand agencies looking for long fingers and even skin tones. You have those. For feet, it's about smooth skin and even toes with good manicures and pedicures for both ends. Your parts need to be a perfect, unblemished canvas. So a lot of times, hands with scars on them probably not going to work for this. If you got it, protect it. Hand models are famous for moisturizing constantly and wearing gloves. Next, build a professional portfolio with well lit photos of your parts from various angles. It's often worth hiring a pro photographer for this. Once you have your portfolio, you can submit it to specialized agencies like parts models or body parts models. Those are actually agencies that you can go to. The reality check here is, though, this strange discipline that is required. You have to live in fear of a paper cut, but for those with that one perfect part, it's a career that offers a level of flexibility that seems almost too good to be true. Now, quick pause because we've been on this for over a half hour, 2 hours almost for the whole show altogether. If your mind has been blown by what you've been seeing and hearing on today's show uh, about these jobs or about the topics we were talking about earlier about dads and relationships and other such, you want to do me a favor and tap that like button. You want to mash those reaction buttons. You want to subscribe to the channel. It helps us on Twitter. It helps us on Twitch. It also helps us on YouTube. Uh, let the algorithms know that we're uncovering some hidden gems here and we're helping more people find new ways to break out of that 9 to 5 grind. So I really appreciate you guys for doing that. Now, let's get back to the weirdness. The number three thing that allows you to get paid to legally hack into the world's biggest companies. This is going to be fantastic for you Fortnite players, you gamers, anybody who used to have the PlayStation with the Game Shark and y'all used to get those cheat codes. Y'all know how to do some coding, y'all know how to do some hacking. Welcome to the world of the bug bounty hunter. What do they do? They're ethical hackers who hunt for security flaws or bugs in software and websites. Instead of doing harm, they report these flaws to the company through a structured program. In return, the company pays them a reward or a bounty. Companies like Google, Apple, and even the Department of Defense use these programs because they know they can't find every flaw themselves. It's a win win. The company patches a security hole and the hackers get paid. Life as a bug bounty hunter is like being a digital detective looking for unlocked doors in a company system, and the treasure can be substantial. Pay is 100% results based. Bounties can range from $50 for a minor bug to over 100,000 for a single critical one. The income is not a steady stream. It's a feast or famine situation. You might go weeks with nothing, then find one bug that pays $20,000. According to Hacker One, a top bug bounty platform, the top 1% of hunters earn over 350,000 a year. However, it is crucial to know that only about 3% of all hunters on the platform make over 100,000 a year. It's a field with high potential, but only for a small, highly skilled group. So, how do you become one? Well, this isn't a job that you just walk into. It requires some deep technical skills. You don't really need a degree, but you do need to understand crypto security and penetration testing. The path is one of relentless self education. Use online resources like TryHackMe and Hack the Box to practice. Once you have some skills, you sign up on platforms like HackerOne or BugCrowd. You'll start small, but every bounty you earn builds your reputation. The reality check is that this is an incredibly competitive field. Burnout is a real risk. You can spend hundreds of hours searching and finding absolutely nothing, but for those with the persistence and technical skills, it offers unparalleled freedom and earning potential where you're paid purely for your results. Now, the fourth one that we're going to have here is a job that didn't even exist a few years ago. I talked about this one time before, the AI prompt engineer, or as I like to call them, the AI whisperer. He says, yeah, I keep searching. I feel the burnout just searching. You do, you see, when I'm doing research for this show, every single night, 7 nights a week, 365 days a year, 366 on leap year, not one day goes by that I am not researching something for this show. And then after I do that research, I spend 1 to 3 hours explaining the culminated information that I gather to you guys. By the end of the show, half the time y'all see me, I'm almost tired. I'm falling asleep on the show. I'm drinking coffee. I got all this kind of stuff going on because you get information overload and burnout at the same time. And then a caffeine crash from the Two Rivers coffee that is probably the best coffee that I've ever had. Soundbite. Is that but good information? I know it isn't easy doing what you do. Fuck no, it's not easy. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Even if I was just sitting here having a casual conversation with you guys every day of the week, the quantity of views that I would get if I was a 23-year-old woman with a C cup, far more substantial. As a middle-aged man, specifically a middle-aged man in a suit, not too many people are coming here because they think that I look good. They come in here because they fell in from the shorts reel. They started learning something, and then they start looking for me in the long form section. But until they fall in, it's not like they seen the thumbnail and like, ooh, he's hot, and dive into the show. You know what I'm saying? So it is hard to do what I do, but it's I'm gonna call it a hobby. Uh, I can't really call it a career yet, but it is something that I'm dedicated to because I want to share knowledge because common knowledge is not something that we have in 2025. And even though widely accepted and widely accessible knowledge exists, people stop looking for it. We only focus on what we can put our hands on, and everything in life is starting to be put online. So you cannot put your hands on knowledge anymore. You have to search for it, and people are lazy. So if we can't watch a YouTube video on the knowledge, we don't care to look for the knowledge. Well, I'm researching the knowledge for you, putting it together and putting it in one location so that you guys can find that there is more ways to make your life better than what you ever thought possible. And I'm doing it. So if y'all don't do it, I'm gonna be a millionaire, and then y'all are gonna be like, "Oh man, I want to be a millionaire too." And then I'm gonna tell you, shit, if you'd have been following me, you would already be a millionaire. The AI needs to study your brain. So the AI is not actually studying your brain. What's happening with these AIs are that they are given a base level of information. And AIs is artificial intelligence with self-learning capabilities. And the self-learning capabilities, everything beyond a basic platform has to be taught to them. So when you want to customize the features of a robot, like you seen that Tesla robot that was dancing on stage one day, somebody had to program that while the robot is capable of moving in that fashion. For it to perform a dance routine, a series of movements have to be taught to the robot for the robot to learn the choreography in order to perform that dance routine. That is what this particular job does. It teaches the robot to take all of the knowledge that it stored and piece it together for a specific unique task, which is different. It says, I think the information overload is a common problem for people who are intellectually inclined. Well, yeah, individuals, anyone who highly intelligent individuals are going to have uh, a higher level of information overload than the average individual that has a subpar education or a subpar processing scenario, the mental capacity to process information, lack of comprehension skills. Um, but even a dumb person can have information overload because if you use too complex of vocabulary, their mind is blown because it can't process the information. But highly intellectual individuals will find themselves reaching information overload um, reasonably easy because they already store a vast quantity of knowledge. And then when they find a new interest, they start absorbing a vast quantity of knowledge. And then they reach a point where they just can't process everything at the same time. and they have to forget something to remember something because we still currently utilize less than 10% of our brain capacity. So it's not like we have a massive hard drive that we can really process all of the thoughts that we have in our heads. So yeah, we have a situation where we find a stopping point and then we shut down. So it's time to use the AI avatar voice changer. Oh yeah, so I could get me a 22-year-old female avatar with a female voiceover. or you know what, as it pertains to that, if I wanted to pay the money for Soul Machine, I could create a female avatar and then um pay that subscription fee for that avatar to interact with me on the podcast, more money than what it's worth. But if I was willing to spend that kind of money, then there would be a female interaction on the podcast where I could be on one side of the screen and she could be on the other side of the screen, and it would be weird as fuck. But that is what AI is being done for. You can take some of your most famous celebrities that are no longer here and turn them into a personal assistant, utilizing their personality and everything to that effect. You could make a hologram of yourself now. Yeah, yeah. What I do is definitely a selfless purpose. It's definitely a selfless purpose because I YouTube does not pay me a salary for this, so I am doing this for the sake of doing it, and y'all just take what I give you and y'all get paid for it because I'm giving y'all financial information, business techniques, personal development styles. It's just because I got a couple hours out of my day that I can talk to y'all. I give y'all all the information that y'all need to be successful. It's up to y'all to use it though. There's too much slop. It is hard to find it. Yeah, to find that real information, it is really hard. And the weird part about it is that with them making those female companions, they're making machines that look and function like humans. The way in 2025 we can't tell if it's a man or a woman, in 2055 we can't tell if it's human or machine. But when you think about, even at its current price of $150,000, even at its current price, depending on the financing situation, if it is $150,000 for the machine and it is a 10-year lease, that is 15,000 a year, 20,000 a year with interest, which is close to $2,000 a month. Now, ladies, before y'all get mad, I'm about to throw y'all under the bus. Your hair is 600. Your nails is 200 every 2 weeks. Your clothes is 800. Your shoes is 545. The dinners that we taking you on is $250 a pop. A lot of middle class men are spending $2,000 to $2,500 a month to entertain you, and you don't cooperate with him. Now, these same men can go finance a female robot, and outside of the naughty bits, they've got a cooperating partner. So many people are going to navigate away from the negative treatment from their partner and pay for a robot. And notice I said people, not men, because while Gen 2 is female style partners, because men are going to pay thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars so that they can find peace. Generation 3 is going to be male robots, where successful women are going to be buying robots that don't Chris Brown them down a flight of stairs. So at the end of the day, it's going to she's gonna have a male robot and he's gonna have a female robot. Where is the human interaction here? Yeah, it's gonna get deep. Yeah, yeah. A good point. Sign me up for the robot. And think about it. If they put maintenance in there, that's a wrap. Because when you start paying for a woman's health care, and you compare that to a robot's maintenance charges, you're saving money on the robot. And if the robot is financially savvy, the robot, one of the helper tasks that that robot can do is generate money for you legally so that it can technically pay for itself, which is one thing that most women don't do voluntarily. They take care of themselves, yes, but very few women make it their goal to support their man. And there's a difference between you being able to do for yourself versus your priority number one is that your man don't need for nothing, don't want for nothing, and don't have to look for nothing. It's a whole different attitude, ladies. Just want to throw that out there. There's someone who can actually hold the flashlight still while fixing the car. Wait, though she can lift the car for you so that you can change the tire. Because we're talking about machines now. We ain't talking about humans. Yes, yes. We're talking about one that can change the oil. We're talking about one who could take their finger, turn it into an OBD2 reader, plug it into the dashboard, and diagnose your car for you instead of not knowing how to open the damn textbook and read past page six. We're, we're talking about machines that carry the groceries in and not complain about it, that has a million and one recipes in their head to make dinner this afternoon instead of forcing you to go to a microwave dinner. There's a lot of stuff going on there. There's a lot of stuff going on there. The potential there is endless, you know, and the dating phase where you're teaching your partner how to be a better wife for you or how to be a better husband for you. That dating phase is the programming phase where you're teaching the AI how to perform to your expectations so that you can be satisfied with the product, which goes back to this job. So, what does a prompt engineer do? They are masters of talking to AI, the way I'm talking to y'all right now. As smart as models like ChatGTP are, or Perplexity, or other platforms, they aren't mind readers. The quality of the AI's output depends entirely on the quality of the input, which is the prompt. A prompt engineer specializes in designing and refining these prompts to get the best possible results. They're the bridge between what a human wants and what the machine executes. It's part creative writing and part logic puzzle. And the numbers are staggering here because prompt engineers have become one of the most lucrative roles in tech here in 2025. Because as of earlier this year, the average salary for a prompt engineer in the United States is around $136,000 per year. Senior roles can command salaries well over $175,000 a year, with some reaching as high as $270,000 per year. And I'm just going to tell you, based on these values, that these locations are typically in California and New York, just based on those salary caps. So before you get excited about, holy shit, that's a lot of money, you put $250,000 in Sacramento, Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, the Hamptons, that $250,000, you're barely getting by the cost of living of that $3 million house that you're living in. So while technically you are in the top 23 percentile, you are still living from check to check. Big ass house and a bunch of expensive cars, but you're still living check to check. Now, the most incredible part about this is the barrier to enter is surprisingly low. You don't necessarily need a hardcore coding background. Many successful prompt engineers come from fields like linguistics, creative writing, or philosophy. So, what matters most is your command of language and your ability to think logically. So, how do you become an AI whisperer? First, you got to immerse yourself. You want to use AI tools daily and push them to their limits, which is pretty much what I do when I'm doing research. Second, you want to learn the theory through online courses on platforms like uh, Coursera. And then third, you want to build a portfolio that documents your most complex and effective prompts. And this is going to be your proof of skills, right? He says, yeah, that cost of living is crazy. Fuck yeah. When California burned to the ground earlier this year, bro, they were talking about billions of dollars worth of damage for houses on a cliff. Them houses is not cheap. And then when you over in New York, it ain't even houses. It's condos. It's $1 and $2 million condos. That's the same size as a 2,000 square foot apartment. Just because it's in prime real estate locations, this shit is expensive. But if you're doing these types of jobs, which does not require you to be stationary in person at a specific job site, you can take that $250,000 a year job in California and relocate to Nevada or relocate to Kansas or relocate to Arkansas or somewhere in middle America where the cost of living is like $30,000 or less. And that $250,000 salary would be a $220,000 profit off of your standard of living, where you could put away 200 grand a year and invest it into stocks, bonds, and real estate, building generational wealth where you'd be a millionaire inside of 5 years. And because you're able to work from your computer, as long as you have internet and Wi-Fi and whatnot, you could still have your $20,000 lifestyle. You could take your $10,000 vacations, put away 20. Well, you could take $30,000 vacations and put away 200,000 a year, and still be getting dividends off of our dividend rotation strategy, where you're going to be making off of that like 18 to 20% interest, where you're still turning around like $80,000 a year worth of profits off of the stocks on top of your $250,000 a year salary, which puts you closer to 350,000 or 370,000. Crazy, right? All you got to do is just communicate to a machine. Yeah. The reality check is that this field is evolving at lightning speed, and it requires a commitment to constant learning. But for those fascinated by the intersection of language and technology, it's a chance to get in on the ground floor of a tech revolution and earn an incredible salary. When machines get rid of all of the manual labor jobs, the jobs that are still going to be there are going to be tech related. Whether you're building the machines, building the software for the machines, repairing the machines, coding the machines, or integrating the machines into real world activity, your job is going to be a tech based job related to the full service machines in about 30 to 40 years. So, figuring out a way to either work for yourself and generate a reasonable standard of living, or get a tech job in a big business, a laid back tech job in a big business environment where you can make a shit ton of money from the comfort of your home anyway. Remote work, that is the best thing for you, because when you're doing remote work, you don't have to worry about HR, because you're never going to inappropriately interact with somebody at your house. You're never going to have to worry about being wrongfully accused of doing something on the job or failure to perform because you're self motivated. And as long as you're excelling above the minimum requirements for performance, because they typically have performance criteria. And if you excel beyond the performance criteria, you're guaranteed a job. And if you're going to the budget meetings where they're talking about performance reports and you find out that somebody's outperforming you and potentially getting bonuses for that outperformance, you're going to be motivated to outdo that person so that you can get that bonus, which means you yourself are never going to not work hard enough where you're not going to be in a position to have to worry about losing your job. But in person, You could get fired because you don't like your boss's attitude. You could get fired because you don't like your coworker's attitude. You could get fired because you don't like your coworker's lack of performance on the job, making your job harder. You could get fired because of your interaction with a customer. You could get fired because somebody said that you interacted negatively in person. All of that stuff is problems when you're doing in-person engagements. You don't have to deal with that when you're doing remote work. And the lack of distractions increases productivity. So that's a whole nother reason why you want to do that. The HR is a scam. Everything should be performance related. It doesn't make sense. Human resources was created back in the day when men were not behaving themselves and inappropriate behavior happened on the job. Now, human resources is a waste of money. And then it is a power trip because some people abuse the power of HR because of social stigma from the past. So now a man has to be afraid to go to work and perform because his female counterpart might make a false accusation about him that'll get him terminated on the job. The women don't know how much power and privilege they have in a society because they have it. If they understood exactly how much power and privilege that they had and they treated it with the utmost respect, they would find themselves in a more successful position. They're fighting against their own ego. That's one of the worst things in the world in this society because they could be the alpha boss lady and a fantastic mom at the same time. But you have to have the child first, let the father parent the child, and take your ass to work. That's how you get to do it all because you can't be in two places at one time. But instead of thinking about it that way, you think, I want to raise the kid if I'm going to have it because I want it to turn out a certain way. So he can't parent the child and I want to be a big boss, so I can't have the child and be a big boss at the same time. That selfish behavior is the reason why people are limited to, oh, I got to chase my career. Because not a now man said, oh, I can't be a good father and be a surgeon at the same time. I can be a good father and be a surgeon. Whenever the fuck I get home, I'll be a good dad. But until I get home, I'm gonna be a surgeon. But when I'm not home, who's got the kid? The other person. So the fact is that you have to really negotiate that and decide which one of y'all gonna stay home if y'all have kids. And since I don't mind staying at home, my wife can take her ass to work every day of the week. Shit. I'll stay here with the kids and the dogs. But yeah, HR is a huge issue. Now, our final job. We got to get through this one. Our final job. Oh, we got plenty of time. But our final job. Uh Perhaps the most personal and unbelievable, but it is there. Make sure that y'all like and subscribe and follow and use those reaction buttons as y'all come through here. This is the professional virtual friend. Now, I told y'all I'm getting paid to be somebody's buddy. Yes, you can get paid for a platonic companionship. This is not an escort. This is not an OnlyFans account. This is not standing on the Chicago street corners in very overly revealing clothes, asking every vehicle to stop at the traffic light if they're looking for a good time. This is legitimately honest virtual hanging out with somebody on the cell phone or the computer, probably helping them improve their vocabulary if they don't speak your language in fluently or something to that effect. Just being a buddy to somebody, all from the comfort of your computer. Reason being, loneliness is a global issue, and an entire industry has emerged to offer friendships as a service. As a virtual friend, your job is so simply put just to be there for someone else, chatting over video calls, playing online video games with them, or just being a supportive listening ear. You're paid for your time and your ability to form a genuine professional platonic bond. So this isn't going to turn into your lifelong romantic partnership, but this is somebody that you're going to talk to every time they reach out. Or y'all are going to schedule time out of the week where you're always going to call each other and y'all are going to talk some stuff out. Now, can this really be a six-figure job? Let's be realistic. While some platforms allow you to set high hourly rates from $20 to over $50 an hour, Turning this into a six-figure income is also extremely rare. It would require a full 40-hour work week with clients paying top dollar, which is difficult to sustain. While platforms like Friend PC suggest a potential of up to $8,000 a month, that is a best case scenario for top tier freelancers. For most, this is a meaningful side hustle or a part time job that can bring in a modest income, not a direct path to richness. But for those people who were dealing with the shutdown, if you were already set up on this could have been an extra income for you for that month that you wasn't at work, where your bills would have gotten paid and you would not have had to borrow no money to stay afloat until you went back to work. And if you set up part time wise communication with these people on the weekends or in the afternoon after you've gotten off from work, you would be able to communicate and maintain both jobs. Now, if you're in the CIA, the FBI, you're on call all the time, a SWAT officer, or whatever the case may be, you need a therapist. You're not going to be somebody's friend. But if you're the kind of person that works fixed hours, you get off at a certain time, you go to work at a certain time, you're off specific days out of the week, and this is your schedule for your entire life, you can utilize this as a second income that is easy to do. You just put up your hours, it promotes you, you communicate with people in passing, and then you make time to sit down and talk to these folks. And if they're paying you $25 to $50 an hour, they're paying you $25 to $50 an hour to have a conversation at $25 an hour. I've been sitting here for 3 hours. I would have got sent 2 hours. I would have at $50 an hour. I would have made $100 just sitting here talking to y'all. So it's a pretty good job to have, right? It's not going to make you that rich unless you find some very lucrative clients. But how do you get paid to be a friend? The most important skill is being a genuinely good and empathetic conversationalist. You also need to be reliable and able to maintain clear professional boundaries. So being a buddy with them means that you're not going to fall in love with them or romanticize them to get them to fall in love with you. That's not what this is about. You're having a clear conversation so that their isolation doesn't end in isolation, right? You can start by creating a profile on platforms like Rent a Friend or Friend PC. Highlight your specific interests. Are you a movie buff, a historian expert, a great listener? This kind of detailing helps you attract the right clients. That way, you don't have people that you have nothing in common with getting on your damn nerves. The reality here is that you check the huge marketplace of people that are looking for a friend. So you'll be able to find a very fascinating job a position here because this job requires a massive amount of emotional labor and can be extremely draining, especially if you have the kind of friends that pay you to listen to their bullshit. Yeah, abusive relationships, disrespect on the job, disrespectful children, disrespectful family members, a woe is me kind of person that's paying you to vent like a therapist. It can be devastating. So, safety and privacy are very critical. Probably don't want to tell them exactly where you really stay because they might actually show up at your house. But for people who are natural connectors and find fulfillment in helping others, you, especially if you're doing it to help them feel less alone, it's a good revolutionary position. If extremely unconventional, still a very good career path. So there you have it. I Over the course of 2 hours, I just gave you guys five bizarre, unorthodox, and surprisingly high paying remote jobs. And we've gone from the world of dating ghostwriting to body part modeling peeked into ethical hacking and exploring frontiers of AI whispering, and ending with the profoundly human job of being a professional friend. What I hope you take away from this is a shift in perspective. The world of work is changing. These paths, while unconventional and often requiring an entrepreneurial spirit to manage their instability, show that your unique skills have value. The traditional career path isn't the only one. The hidden economy of weird jobs proves you can design a career that is not only profitable, but also deeply interesting. Now, I'm going to be real with you, fellas. You are not going on a date with a girl, and then when she asks you what you do for a living, you tell her you get paid to be people's friend. She ain't gonna buy that shit. You're gonna have to sugarcoat that job title as a professional life coach or a executive professional assistant or something like that. You're gonna have to really spice up that job title. But if that's paying your damn bills, it's paying your bills. It's the reason why you're available to talk to her right now, because you finished with your job in the parking lot while you were waiting on her to show up. But again, ladies, y'all got to think about this now. If they're making 75,000 a year doing this, 50,000 a year doing this, it's five-figure salaries, 80,000 a year doing this. It don't matter what the fuck he do for a living. If he's making more than 30,000 a year and you're making more than 30,000 a year and y'all can live less than $50,000 a year lifestyle, y'all can take 40,000 a year and put it into a stock market and y'all stay together for 10 years and y'all a millionaire. 20-year plan, y'all 2.5 million. So if he's making 50, 60, 70, and you're making 50, 60, 70, y'all putting away 100 grand a year, y'all a millionaire in a very short period of time. All y'all got to do is just stick to y'all guns. You're not literally, but keep doing it the way you're supposed to be doing it, working towards each other's success, work towards early retirement. You know what I'm saying? Now, I have to ask you, which of these weird jobs would you actually do? Because me, now that I think about it, I probably would get paid to be people's friend because I talk too damn much. And if they need somebody to listen to, I'm good at sitting here for a couple of hours having a conversation at $25 to $50 an hour. Shit, like I said, at $50 an hour for the 2 to 3 hours I'd have been here, I'd have made $150 to sit in this chair. And some people are getting paid by the hour, and they make $180 in 10-hour shift. I could have made that sitting in this chair for 3 hours. Crazy. Which means I got the rest of the day to myself to maintain the same standard of living. So make sure that you guys let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. For y'all that are on a 9x16, the comments are over here. For y'all that are in the 16x9, they're going to be off to the side. They're here in the window, but you're going to be typing on them off to the side. It is what it is with the way they got it. They got it all over the place. But I'm loving the new format. I'm going to give first time. I'm going to give YouTube a congratulations for doing something that benefits the content creators that are still on the computers, not cell phone exclusives. But when you guys put your comments in the comment section, I read every single one of them, and I'm definitely genuinely curious about what you guys have to say. And I typically reply to a lot of the appropriate comments that you guys put into the comment section either during the show or after the show. So if tonight's show sparks something in you, make sure that you hit that subscription button, turn on those notifications, hit that follow button on Twitter, hit that follow button on Twitch, and then make sure that you swing back around tomorrow night, because we're always exploring new ways to build a life of freedom. And uh, really, what we try to do is we try to help you guys Build yourselves a level of success because I want to help you with early retirement. When you stop having to work for somebody else and your money is making money for you, you have more of your life to spend with the people that you care about. And when you have more money than you need, you have more financial freedom and more financial security. So you're stressed less, which helps you for longer living because one of the things that shortens our lifespan is hypervigilance. Always stressing over bills, always stressing over money, always stressing over where the next dollar is going to come from. And if you don't need to worry about that and you have all the time in the world to build the connections and relationships with the people that you care about, you would find yourself in a happier situation, living a longer life. And that's what I'm aiming for you guys. That's what I'm going to do for myself. So with that being said, I'm going to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you, ladies, to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And then, fellas, I'm giving y'all this information to help y'all become higher value men. So if y'all take this information and utilize it, y'all will be able to improve your ability to be successful. And ladies, while this is a male driven podcast from the male's perspective, this isn't exclusive to the men. Y'all can utilize this information as well to make yourselves higher value women. All it takes is for you to put forth the information to apply yourself. Now, uh, yeah, that's really all I got for y'all for tonight because I've covered a lot of stuff. But what I do want to say for you guys is I want to say tomorrow we're gonna finish that dad topic. And since we talked about it, we're gonna have those statistics that we had mentioned earlier today, and we're going to squeeze those in with the statistics about dads so that we can cover the whole spread. I want you guys to, anybody who has an opinion about dads, anybody who has opinions about childbirth, anybody who has opinions about abortion. Tomorrow's the day to stick your nose in, and we're going to talk about all that stuff because, I mean, in modern society, we need to understand why it's so hard to find a good partner. Men and women alike have equal complaints. Social media sucks when it comes down to finding somebody, and in person sucks when it comes to finding somebody. And when you have somebody, it doesn't always work out. 1 year, 5 months, 7 days, 6 days. That's pretty much all you get. And then you're back single again. If we start exploring where we're going wrong with this, where it's not so much the other person, it's us, what we did wrong going into the relationship, what we were looking for versus what we got didn't match up when we first got into the relationship. That is part of the reason why we're in a position where we're not happy because what we wanted and what we accepted were not the same thing going in. And when we could not force change, we got tired of expecting without trying. And then we gave up on it. We gave up on them trying without ever putting forth the effort to make improvements in what we got, or make improvements in what we were looking for. So we're going to be talking about the dad mentality because since so many men in modern 2025 are looking to be fathers, and so many women in modern 2025 do not want to be mothers, and the women are wondering why they're having troubles with keeping a man after they get a man, talking tomorrow about the male drive to be a parent, to build a legacy, not just a financial legacy, a genetic lineage. That is a very important concept to cover because if you understand the mindset of men, then you can navigate around that in a positive and appropriate fashion to be more successful with your own expectations and your own obligations. So, ladies, I strongly encourage you to participate in tomorrow night's show. And if you don't, hey, you can listen because we got at this point we've got about half of the channel is women. So I really want to know what y'all so we got about 84,000 people and half of them are women. So that's like 40,000 women. I want y'all to come to the show and start putting y'all 2 cents in when we start talking about dads and stuff. Y'all can tell me what y'all think. Y'all, we don't have to agree. I don't have to always be right, but I only talk about facts. And when I talk about facts, facts aren't wrong. I put up my opinion. You want to challenge my opinion? We can do that all day long. But swing by and see what we got going on tomorrow. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to tonight's show. Thank you for coming to this and that. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Tomorrow, we're going to try to start it a little bit more closer to on time. So just make note that we should be starting at around 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is about 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, which should be around, I think, 9 or 8 o'clock California time. So try to get here 10 minutes after because I'm typically late. 10 minutes after the hour, and I'm typically late. But when you swing around, we're going to be going ahead because I'm going to be doing some announcements. I'm going to get debrief you guys on what's up, anything that I found out between now and then. And then we're going to go ahead and get in on the topic. So that's all I got for you guys for tonight. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you very much.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.